next level.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Nate. For those of you that don't know me, I love cars and trucks, and if you've been following the channel for a while, I do a lot of work on personal cars and trucks. Being in Wyoming and growing up on a farm, I drive a lot. Therefore, most of my vehicles, and being a college student, most of my vehicles are higher mileage vehicles. But this last year we took on a fun project car that you guys might know as my 1999 Audi A8 Quattro, 4.2 liter V8, 310 horsepower all-wheel drive behemoth of a car. It is all aluminum, but impressively still very heavy. And today I'm going to be discussing the long-awaited video in question: how much money did we spend on this project car? So I am also in the process of renaming the channel. I've been talking to a couple of my good buddies that follow the channel. Shout out to you guys. Thank you. You're awesome. And also to all of my subscribers. Subscribe if you haven't already and hit that little bell icon so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. But as I was saying, we've been talking and we would agree that the name Budget Auto for the channel maybe makes things sound a little bit more like a used car dealership than a cool YouTube channel about my idiocy of not knowing anything about cars but still trying to work on them and do everything myself. So we're kind of in the process of changing the name of the channel. If you guys have any great ideas, please leave a comment below and smash that thumbs up button as always. With that said, let's go ahead and jump into today's video of how much did my 99 Audi A8 cost in the end. So I do have a review coming to the channel super soon of that car, but it is finally completely sorted out, and I also have a list here of all of the things that I've done to this car, and no, unfortunately it does not fit on one page. And I need to add something onto this list. Okay, so I got those couple of things added, and we're going to start off with the car itself. So you guys know that before I bought this Audi, I was driving around a 2000 Saab 9.5, an absolutely lovely, comfortable, very good car to drive around. I sold it for $800, but I turned around and paid $750 for this very broken behemoth of a V8 Audi car. It had misfires, none of the brakes were working right, the steering was completely wonky, the interior was tore up and completely filthy, and the whole front end and side panel of the car was smashed. I don't know what I was thinking, but in my defense, it did come with 2 sets of brand new tires, one of which I found out had micro cracks all the way around from sitting and ended up replacing anyways. So I paid $750 for my bad decision of buying the car. Put that in my calculator, and then kind of in no particular order, but the order that I do remember what things I replaced on or what happened is I had to buy a starter for $87. I had our major repair that I'm going to talk about. I had it completely done, went to turn on the car for the first time after pushing it out of the workshop, and nothing happened. It didn't turn over. I had to spend another 10 hours to replace the starter in this car, which I actually had done as well, and then I pulled a wire off of it and had to do it all over again. It's kind of a weird sequence of events, but I actually paid only $87 for that probably 10-hour repair. Go ahead and check out my previous videos. I paid $11.34 for a new coolant reservoir because I broke off the overflow inlet on that reservoir when I was working on it. I paid $33.44 on new manifold gaskets. The old ones were leaky, and we had to replace the head gaskets, so we had to take off the heads anyways, and it was just an opportune moment to do it. Plus, they're cheap, right? $34. So after that, we had to buy a serpentine belt for $19.85. That's just something you have to replace when you take the old one off and you don't remember what way it goes on, plus it was bad. Oh, this one's a good one. While we were repairing the head gaskets, we took off the valve covers, or I should say we were trying to take off the valve covers, couldn't figure it out, and I was lightly tapping this all aluminum valve cover with a hammer, and I cracked it down the center. So there's $50, which is a great deal, by the way, on this car that I found for a new right valve cover. We had to put new NOx sensors on. The old ones disintegrated right as I pulled them off. The very front engine mount on this car was bad, so there's another $99. That's also a good deal on that, believe it or not. Those are so expensive. I actually had bought a timing belt kit myself, separate, and then I got thinking, you know what, while we're in there, we might as well do the water pump and new seals and thermostat in there as well. So I sent all of that stuff back, and I bought a kit at a great deal of $95 for the timing belt kit with a tensioner, water pump, and some rollers. I spent $82 on, I believe, 20 head bolts. Apparently you have to replace those when you do a head gasket job. That way you don't retorque the old ones and they break off or something, and your head's, yeah, that wouldn't be good. So I spent $26.50 on a second timing belt tensioner. This was one that I had bought previously to the kit, but I couldn't send it back, so I still have it. It's in the car, just kind of rolling around in my trunk. I spent $5 on an oil pressure sender. I mean, we're in there already. Might as well replace it, right? Plus, I think the leak that the major oil leak the car had was coming from that. My biggest expense on parts was $168 for a head gasket kit. It also came with my cam seals and a bunch of other seals that I have no idea what they went to, and so we didn't end up using them. And they're also in my spare tire well in my trunk because I don't have a spare tire. But that was expensive, but actually not that much, because that's $160 in parts for a $2,000 repair in a shop. So we did pretty good there, right? We spent another $50 on oil cooler gaskets. My oil cooler had a massive leak from somewhere, I think the oil pressure sender, that was losing probably a quart of oil every time that I parked the car. So I had to buy a new gasket kit for that, and we only used one gasket out of it because I wasn't about to break apart my oil cooler. And luckily, all of the inside ones were still good. I had to spend $21 replacing the most common and notorious problem on this car, which was the oil cooler pipe that goes between the oil cooler and the block and transports coolant back and forth. The old one is plastic and they shatter and they break, so I bought a nice aluminum one for $21. Fixed that problem. The old one was very broken. I spent $28 when I first got the car replacing my evaporative purge canister or valve, and it seemed like it helped for a while, but now my evap code's back. We did a lot of work to the brakes, but I actually lost a glide pin, so I spent $6 on new glide pins and $8 on new caliper guides. I paid $91 to redo the front brakes and rotors. Actually, I should say Corey helped me a ton on that. The car was filthy, so I spent $13 on floor mats and another $36 on seat covers, and I only used half that kit because the rear one didn't fit, but the front two look very good in the car. I broke a caliper. Actually, kind of a cool story to the beginning of this car is that one of the calipers in the back was actually seized up and the rotor was sheared in half. So we ended up replacing that caliper for $100 in parts. The hood struts, I don't think that they were really there because it was bad. Put $18 hood struts on. The tie rods were recalled for being so notoriously bad, and when I got this car they were about ready to fall off. I didn't know they were on a recall, so we spent $34 on new tie rods. That's not too bad, but the dealership probably would have laughed at us had we tried to bring that recall in anyways. I actually only used half of that $34 set because before I spent $140 for Corey to do the rear brakes, one of the front tie rods, and to put my snow tires on for me last year. here in the school shop. He's studying to be an automotive major on campus. Oh, this was a big one. I spent $230 on new tires for this car. Turns out that the brand new set of tires that come with the car, one of them had blown out, so I only had 3 of them, and the rest of them looked like they had been sitting for probably about a year without being driven because they were completely, it was bad. So I bought some budget tires. They're off-brand Cooper tires. They're like Solarises or something, but $230 on tires. I spent $40 on spark plugs. I put some in the first time I bought the car hoping it was going to correct the misfire. It didn't. We ended up having to do head gaskets, and might as well replace them again, right? So I broke a cam position sensor getting the head off of the car. That was another $10. I only spent $4 on the oil filter. It was ripped, but we installed it anyways, and so I recently spent another $10 on an oil filter to replace that one. And hang on, my calculator's maxed out. Alright, well, I'll come back and do the ending calculation for you guys here in a minute. So once I got that new oil filter on and oil changed for I think $20 in the oil, $10 for the oil filter, I put new cabin filters on the car. The old ones were like disintegrating in black, so I threw some new ones on there for 20 bucks. I had a new air filter that I put on for $16. That one should last a long time, so we're good there. The key fob that I had was completely destroyed, so I decided to buy a new shell from Amazon and do the switch myself, which is all good, except now I have to like actually physically lift the key up. It doesn't do the nice flippy thing anymore, so that was $7. One of my ignition coils I thought was bad because of the misfire, so there's $17 in a new ignition coil. Turns out it was head gasket, so I have a spare ignition coil in my spare tire well of my trunk. I spent about $60 in vacuum hoses and fittings on this car. I cannot believe how 20-year-old cheap German rubber and plastics just disintegrates. Like everything that was plastic on this car, I might as well have just ripped off because it just completely fell apart in our hand. It was bad. Recently, we did a transmission flush on the car because it was surging around 40 to 50 miles an hour, and believe it or not, this is getting down to our last repairs. I spent only $27 on the transmission filter itself. It's a nice little plastic flat thing that just sits up in there, super easy to replace. Not really, because it took us 3 hours to do, so there's $90 in shop fees. I had $83 into automatic transmission fluid, which wasn't even the OEM stuff. Had I bought the right German mineral material, whatever it's called, from Germany, I'm not even going to tell you how much that would have cost. And then I had $8 into black gasket maker for that. And finally, thinking that I had everything sorted out entirely, I drove the car around for 2 days and it broke down. My air idle control valve went haywire, and so the car was trying to take off on me in traffic, and it would randomly decide to die because it thought it could idle at 0 RPMs. So that's an $1,100 valve that I got for $68. So all in all, I don't think that we did too terribly bad on this car, but I don't think there's much left for us to replace on the car either. However, I'm not done quite yet because I still need a window regulator, and we haven't done anything cosmetic to the car. It still needs door trim on the driver's side, 2 new mirrors, because the old glass is getting all kind of bad, and it needs a new bumper and a new quarter panel and 2 new front marker blinker light housings. So am I done spending money on the car? Probably. Is it done being entirely fixed up? No, it's not even close yet. Okay, so I come up with a grand total for you guys. Well, Audi A8 Quattro project car cost me $2,677. If we take out the cost of the car and the cost of tires, I have $1,697 into repairs on this car. And so when I say it is completely sorted and mechanically sound, again, you better believe it, because I have $1,697 into just parts on this car. That is not including the painstaking 3 months of labor, okay, every Saturday for 3 months of labor that Corey and I spent on this car. It runs very well, it drives very well, and I'm done with it. I'm unfortunately not going to fix up the bodywork. I really wish and almost am tempted to fix up the bodywork so that it is completely done, a completely done build. Dare I say I'm like Hoovie's Garage. I bought the cheapest Audi A8 in the nation, and I've now put more money into it than it's worth. Or close, I should say. The car blue books for about $2,500. Do I think anyone's going to pay me that for the car? Well, in a video that would make Hoovie's Garage proud, I finally divulged to you guys the secret of how much my 99 Audi A8 project car cost me. Do I see another project car like this coming soon to the channel? No, probably not. If you guys don't know, I just got married and I am graduating from college here in December. I'm super excited to start a new chapter of my life, but I'm also excited to start a new chapter here on the channel. So as always, let me know what you guys want to see in the comments below. If you think I'm a total idiot, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. If you're in shock of how much this car cost me to repair, please subscribe to my channel and smash that bell icon for more crazy adventures and idiotic videos like this one. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving break, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Next level.